Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So I decided to pivot from 3D interference, which I'll get back to next week. And I wanted to do a special video on grounding. I've talked about it in so many interviews and I think all three of my books. But I've received a lot of questions recently, probably from people who don't know me very well or are just looking for more guidance, more thorough guidance on grounding. So this video today is going to be about grounding, and I'm going to be real organized about it. So I'm going to organize it where it will be free, free things that you can do to ground that are free, then things that you can do to ground that cost a little bit of money, and then things that you can do to ground that cost a little bit more money. So I want to make sure that I am clear about kind of the different avenues, because not everyone has money to spend. And so I want to go over the free stuff first. But before I even get into that, what is grounding and what is the significance of it right now? Why is it so important? Because I've talked about it as the fundamental or the foundational aspect of our ascension right now, because of the fact that we have been really captivated and controlled in this 3D matrix grid, whatever you want to call it. And as a result of that, we have not been able to tap into our multidimensional aspect of ourself, because we're not just this human. We are an expanded consciousness connected to the collective consciousness, connecting to source, to God, to all that is in the universe. And when you think about it that way, it's wow, that's really overwhelming, and how powerful and how incredible are we as beings. But we're not taught that in this environment, in this reality, in this 3D, because they want to make sure that they are able to control us. And so the way that they are able to control us is by making us feel less than, so that we are just this body. And there's so much confusion out there based on different religious teachings and all sorts of things that confuse people into thinking that maybe this is it for us. Maybe we only have one life. And there is there is nothing else outside of this. There are no angels. There are no extraterrestrials. There are no interterrestrials. There's nothing else but this. And then we have the flat earth and the spherical earth and then the round earth. And we have all of these things, I believe, to conquer us into division, confusion, so that they can better manipulate us and more easily program us. All of it is part of the game of the 3D matrix. So I've talked about this a lot, but as our light bright, that I refer to as the starseeds all over the planet that have been here for many, many thousands of years, but let's talk about just right now, in this now moment, the light bright of the planet of the 3D grid, really. Let's just be very specific. Every day, every moment, one more light turns on as somebody awakens. So this light bright that maybe even pre-pandemic was scattered with lights everywhere of starseeds that were awake and activated, but seemingly alone. They looked around, no one, they were the crazies in the family, the black sheep, the conspiracy theorists, things like that. And then as events proceeded, more and more people have awakened every year, every moment, every second. There's somebody awakening all over the world. And the light bright, not only their light activates, and then the light bright gets brighter all over, but the lights cannot also be illuminated or more bright. So, when you first awaken, maybe the light is a soft color, just like a light that has a dimmer in it. And then the more you awaken, the dimmer starts to turn up, and then the light gets even brighter and brighter and brighter. So that means that when that occurs, or as that is occurring, I see the 3D grid breaking down. In my intuitive, when I do my psychic remote viewing of kind of the larger aspect of the this human experience in a quantum review, where you look at the world as energy and not as matter, so not people but energy, I see that there's more light poking through, and the grid is therefore breaking down, which is why we're having all of these bleed throughs, and we're having the veil is very thin, and more people are starting to see more than they, or not even just more, things that they've never seen before, which are other dimensions that they are tapping into that have been essentially closed off to us because of what they've done to our third eye and our crown chakra and everything that elevates us and taps us into our higher knowing, with all the 3D interference that I've talked about in my book and my lectures, things like that. all of those things have contributed to us not seeing what is beyond this deemed reality of what we can see in front of us. A lot of people can't see angels or the demonics. I did a video on this at some point in my series that I talked about how everybody wants to see, they want to see so bad, they want to see this, but what they don't realize is when you see the good, you also see the bad. So as the veil starts breaking down, people, I don't think, realize that they're also going to see all of the scary stuff that is in our reality that pops in and out of our dimensional field of view. And I've talked about my personal experiences where I've had moments where I have raised in frequency quite quickly for whatever reason, and I have been driving a car and seen these bat-like pterodactyl things flying around, or maybe when children are at home and they see shadow beings walking through their home that maybe their parents don't see. There's millions of examples, but if we were able to just, the veil was completely off and we could see everything, I think that there would be a lot of mass chaos on the streets if everybody, their light turned on at the same time. And we had the capability of seeing through the realities, because it could be quite scary and overwhelming to people, especially if they don't understand what's going on. But this is occurring. It's occurring all over the world. A lot of the clients that I work with in different pockets of the globe, different religious backgrounds, male and female, all ages, many of them are starting to see through, and they are having what I call like glimpses or bleed throughs, where in a moment they see something and they're like, whoa, but it's not necessarily like they could touch it. It's tactile, like in front of them, but it's in their awareness. It comes into their field of awareness. So these things are happening all over the world. I gave my little bit of an explanation of what happened in the Miami event the other day in my last video on my 2023 and overview and 2024 outlook. I talked about that in the end and what I thought happened and why. And basically it's that they have probably always been there, and they popped into our dimensional field, and I think they were surprised that we could see them. We were surprised those people there obviously were terrified, and it was non-threatening, and there's a lot more to it than that, but that's essentially what I believe had occurred there, and I think it occurs all the time. We're just not hearing about it on the news. And in those types of situations, the cell phones and the cameras aren't going to work, so they're not going to pick up on this phenomenon, because the cameras are not necessarily going to pick up interdimensionally, although sometimes do. Sometimes cameras will pick up orbs that we don't see, but then the right light reflects and it's able to pick it up. But not always are you going to be able to pick up an interdimensional being in that way. So I believe that's why a lot of the technology, sometimes if there's a massive amount of energy with a portal opening and a being comes through, or beings, they give off a very massive amount of energy, a frequency, which can distort or disrupt the camera's ability to operate or electronics to operate. So I don't want to get too far into that, because that's not what this video is about. But my point is, as the veil is thinning, as we are tapping in more to our multidimensional selves and realizing and recognizing there's so much more to this reality than we are able to see with the physical eyes, we are having massive frequency shifts and downloads and knowings and vivid dreams. And it can be quite overwhelming. So the number one recommendation that I have during this period of transition and healing and all of these things that are occurring is to, if you remain grounded as much as possible throughout all of this, it'll be easier for you. Because like I use the example with very high frequency children, new earth children that are very galactic or very high frequency. I always see them as like a balloon, helium balloon, and the parents are like holding them down with the string, because otherwise they'll just fly away. Obviously that's metaphorical, but what I mean is they're just too high vibrational, and their imagination is so vast, like they don't anchor into this reality. They're very dynamic, and they see so much more, and it can be overwhelming for them. So they need to ground. That's my number one recommendation for parents with starseed children, but also for adults. So if you want to navigate through an awakening and a healing, and many other things throughout the next couple of years, My biggest recommendation is to master the grounding part first, because it's foundational. It's literally the floor you walk on, but it's also energetically anchoring you to the planet and to the fifth dimensional Gaia that will connect you to the beautiful frequencies and the healing frequencies of the planet. And it will help you maintain spiritual centeredness, and it'll help your body adjust to those frequencies as you connect to the earth, and the energy flows up through you. It's like a beautiful, almost like a sphere of energy that comes in and out, and it's going to help you remain centered and balanced. That's what grounded means. I have a joke at my daughter's homeschool pod when I talked about grounding. I'm like, not grounding when you get in trouble by your parents, but grounding where you are feeling balanced and you feel like yes, I got this. It's a harmonic feeling. It's a very, what's the word? Your parasympathetic system is really functioning well, and you're just feeling like you're in homeostasis. So what are some free, and when you do that, once you're able to do that and you master that, then the ability to tap into your multidimensional self more easily and clearly, and tap into your intuition and potentially see through your third eye, your guides and your spiritual families, etc. It'll be much easier to do that, but you have to master the grounding first. So what are some free ways to ground? I'm going to give you a list. It's not necessarily in any particular order, but I will tell you my favorites. So I have a list to make sure that I don't forget. But the first and foremost is the one that I've really already mentioned, connecting to nature. So any way that you can connect to nature. I recognize that it's the winter time, so a lot of people are going through the winter cold months, depending on where you live. Some are going into summer. But regardless of where you live, you can still ground even in the coldest temperatures. It doesn't always mean you have to be outside barefoot in the sun. There are ways to ground. So just simply being outside in nature is number one. So wherever you live, if you live in the desert, being out in the desert, in the forest, being in the forest, being by the ocean, being by the lakes, the rivers, the mountains, wherever you live, whatever nature you can immerse yourself in is the best way. It is fine. It's where you live, you work with what you have, working for you. That going with that is just being around animals. So nature animals, I'm talking the wild, not wild animals. You don't necessarily have to communicate with them or know how, but just being out in nature. Nature has a beautiful light language I talk about. It's a healing language. It's the language of the planet herself. So the birds chirping, the animals making sounds, the crickets in the trees, the light breeze that's making the tree branches come together, making sounds, the sounds of the ocean, the sounds of the rain, all the sounds in nature collectively create a harmonic frequency that's very balancing for us. So simply just taking a walk in the woods or down the street in your neighborhood. I know there's some people, it's harder because you live in cities. There's a lot of EMFs. There's not a lot of nature around, but wherever, if you have the ability to do that, you don't necessarily have to be barefoot, although that's wonderful. But if it's cold, you put your shoes on and your jacket and you go outside and you breathe it in and you close your eyes and you listen to the sounds of nature, and all of those things are harmonizing and balancing for you. Take a moment to bird watch, to watch the deer outside if you're, and if you have deer where you are or wherever you live. I have ducks everywhere and ibis and blue herons. So they're everywhere I drive. We have to stop the cars because they're crossing the street. They're coming in my garage. I mean, they're everywhere. So sometimes I'll just sit outside and I watch them, and they're quite fun to watch. And the squirrels, I have a forest behind me. I'll watch the squirrels just run up and chase each other on the tree. Sometimes it makes me laugh. The butterflies, the dragonflies, whatever you have nearby you. When the sun is out, heliotherapy is also a great one, just to get even 5 minutes of sunlight. You don't have to sit out there for hours. Just close your eyes, let the sun in, take the sunglasses off, don't wear any sunblock for a short period of time, and just let the heliotherapy touch any part of your skin that you can have available to the sun is beneficial. Also, sun gazing early in the morning or in the evening is also a great one to just connect yourself to the powers of the sun and to help open up the pineal gland. putting your feet in the water if you live near the streams and it's not too cold, doing something like that, putting your feet in the sand, walking on the rocks if it doesn't hurt too much, depending on, you know, how rigid they are. Here we have a lot of shells at the beach, so sometimes it can hurt your feet. Okay, so nature, animals, wild animals. And of course, if you have your own pets, that's like also my favorite. So snuggling on the couch with your dog or your cat or your birds or whatever you have a snake, whatever your pet is, that is your that's your kind of your energetic buddy. Then spend time with your animals. They are very healing and they do so much for us. I did a whole webinar on what animals do for us. I recommend, if you haven't seen it, go back a couple of months on my videos. And I did a couple-hour webinar on animals and what they do for us. So animals are very important. My next really top favorite is breathing. I teach this. I've taught this for over a decade. I talk about it extensively in my first book, Intuitive Transformation Evolution, and I mention it in the last 2 books. I also teach children this, that there are no right or wrong ways to do breathing exercises. But when you couple an intention and a visual with your breath, it is powerful. So my favorite is progressive breathing. So what I teach people to do is every day, if you do this every day, at least once, after a week or 2, you'll feel like a whole new person. Because of our emotional state, we tend to have trapped emotions because we don't want to deal with things in the moment. We're taught, oh, don't cry, suppress, don't deal with that. You know, everyone's trying to tiptoe around everyone else's feelings. So a lot of times we keep in our emotions. Those are called trapped emotions. So the anger that we felt days ago is going to get trapped in the body if we don't release it somehow. Or if you're a very empathic person and you are inadvertently a lot of times taking on the environmental stresses and anger and collective fear and all of those things and the anxieties of your family and friends, that can become trapped. So it doesn't matter how it gets there. It could be known or unknown, but your intention is to stand. I recommend standing straight up, feet on the ground, better outside. You could also do this in the shower. You could do this, of course, you could do this laying down in your bed. You could do this sitting in a chair, however feels right to you. And you basically say in your mind, your intention is any and all energy that's no longer serving my highest good at this time, I choose to release it now in all dimensions, time and space. And what you do is you take a nice deep belly breath. You take a big breath in and feel your belly expand. So your physical action is the breath. Your intention is that you're releasing anything that's not serving you. And your visualization is just visualizing all of that energy coming into your belly in that moment, or not really in your belly, but in your lungs, essentially. You're bringing it together in one clump. You can visualize it as black or brown or a smoky color or whatever comes to you. And then you hold it for a couple of seconds. So let's say you breathe in 7 seconds, you hold it for 5 seconds. Sorry, that was wrong. You breathe in for 3 seconds, you hold it for 5 seconds, and then you release for 7 seconds. You don't have to focus on the numbers, but progressive breathing basically means you breathe in and then you hold it a little bit longer than it took you to breathe in, and then you exhale longer than it took you to hold. So it's just a progressive inhale, hold, exhale. So your intention is, as you exhale, all of that stuff that you visualized that you brought to the surface is now exiting the body, and you ask the universe or Mother Earth or whatever you feel like saying in the moment to transmute that energy into light, or ask the Mother Earth to absorb it and transmute it, or whatever you want to say. You're not going to do that just one time, though. You're going to do it in a series of 4 or 5 breaths, or maybe 2-3 minutes, however long you feel like you need. But you'll notice that each time you do that, you'll literally feel like a weight is lifted off of your body. And you'll feel like there's an overwhelming sense of calm. You'll go from sympathetic mode to parasympathetic mode. Your blood pressure will drop. Your heart rate will start to drop. Your muscles will become less tense. You will just start to feel like an overall sense of peace. I've done workshops with this for years, and people have got their heart rate ahead of time, done this exercise, and then after, and their heart rate then generally goes down a minimum of 10 beats per minute. So that's showing that the body is relaxing. So not only are you having a physiological response, but you're also actively and intentionally releasing anything that's in your body that's not serving you. If you do that once or twice a day, I recommend indefinitely as part of your spiritual hygiene practice. I mean, I do it all the time. You don't have to do the full exercise. Sometimes, because I'll notice that my body knows now, it's trained through repetition, that if I get overwhelmed, I tend to have these big, massive release with my breaths randomly. I could be cooking dinner and all of a sudden I'm like, and I have a really big exhale and I'm like, man, that felt good. So clearly in that moment, my body knew that it was holding something and it needed to let go. So the more you do it, your body will start to learn that as a technique, a tool that it will use innately without you even thinking about it. But I recommend that you consciously do the exercise once to twice a day ever, as long as you can, because I think it works very well. And things happen every day. So yeah, we probably do need it daily just to get rid of the grid of the day and the stress of the day and, etc. Okay, breathing, absolutely free. And it's my favorite. I think it's just one of the most powerful innate abilities that we have to release, bring ourselves back to balance, grounding us, stabilizing us. Another one of my big favorites is exercise. Any way you can get your heart rate up, any way that you are capable, depending on injuries and limitations. I personally run out as often as I can, and I feel amazing after. My intention while I'm running is as I breathe and I exhale, I'm releasing. And I say that same affirmation as I did with the breathing, but I do it while I exercise. Running, walking, dancing, boxing, swimming, anything that is getting you active in some way. So exercise is very grounding. Music. Music is one of the most beautiful things we can do to harmonize our energetic body, because we are so influenced by all the electromagnetic frequencies and all the 3D interference. Music can come in and calm us down and bring us to a homeostatic space as well, but it can also raise our vibration. So music can do so many different things. So 432 hertz, 528 hertz, be careful what you see on YouTube, because the authors of those tracks can alter them and you wouldn't never know. So just be careful. I prefer to just digitally download the actual author from iTunes or something, or wherever, where it's, that it's regulated. But also music that you enjoy. I would stay away from heavy metals, rap music, all of that. I've talked about that in other videos where they alter the frequency to disrupt your body, not to mention the subliminal messaging within those tracks and the spell casting and all of that. That's a whole other video. But so my rule of thumb is, if you feel happy and joyful or balanced or whatever it is that you're looking to feel with the music, then it's good. If you're feeling disconcerted, angry, agitated, off in some way, then that's not a good one, and don't listen to it. You can also, like I said, go outside and just listen to the sounds of nature. Absolutely beautiful. And I love to do that. My favorite is to go to the beach, sit back in a chair, close my eyes and listen to the ocean. Sound bowls, tuning forks, all sorts of other ways. There are other ways to utilize music in your healing, creating music, piano, all sorts. Whatever's your jam is your jam, but music can really bring us back to balance in a very profound way. Singing, if you sing yourself, you can also do that. Okay, this is important. So I'm very big on this, a little bit too crazy about this, but decluttering your space. I do not like clutter. My house, I try to create, is very clean. I know people think it's crazy how I have 3 children and 3 pets, and my house is so clean. I prioritize it. I prioritize my time to make sure my house is clean, even if I'm really tired. I can't have dishes piled in the sink. My house is very clean. I don't have a lot of clutter around. My desk has crystals and that's it. And it's very organized, even the way my crystals are laid out. So declutter your home as much as you possibly can. Hoarding is another 3D interference, because they encourage you to keep everything you can so that you can block the chi or the energy, what's the word I'm trying to think, the pathway of energy through your home. If it's constantly blocked by boxes and piles of stuff and old things that you don't need, that will cause your room to be very dense and very heavy, and it will alter your mood and your frequency as well. So decluttering the home. And another one people don't think about, your car. I don't have a piece of trash in my car. It's absolutely clean. Now it might need a car wash, but there's no clutter. I don't, every time I get out of the car, or my children get out of the car, or any guests, I always say, take all of your stuff out. Do not leave one thing. So keeping your car clear of clutter, whoo, that's a tongue twister, is also really important. And so take care of your things, take care of your space, your office, whatever is yours, your personal space. Take care of it. Even your purse. I clean out my purse all the time, all the junk. I don't really carry purse around that much, but when I do, I try to make sure whatever I've put in there from the day, I take out. So think about all of those things. Think about your space, because it's important to clear it so the energy pathways are clear and the space feels good. Now, on top of that, you can clear your space energetically using sage, copal, cedar sticks, with intention, with using crystals, things like that. So clearing the metaphysical space as well, using your tools that you like, is also important. So both. Reiki, if you know how to do Reiki, or you can go to somebody that can offer you Reiki or some sort of energy healing. It doesn't have to be Reiki. It could be, there's so many different ways to do energy healing that will also ground you. And so that's a good one. Any left brain, I'm sorry, let's start with right brain. Right brain activities are golden, because that's going to take you out of the logical state, out of the 3D mentality, and take you into a beautiful state of imagination, creativity. And that's where our intuition lies. And that's where our frequency catapults up, because we are connecting to our divine aspect of ourself and our limitless ability to create. So whatever you could, if you enjoy singing, dancing, art, painting, crafting, whatever is your jam, any right brain activity, creative writing, writing music, anything that's right brain, where you're using your creativity to imagine and think outside the box, think that sort of thing. But also, left brain activities can be very important for the people that find it very calming to use the brain. So a lot of labeled children with Asperger's, they tend to be very left brain, and that's very calming for them to utilize their brain and think and problem solve. That can be grounding for them. That sounds like a torture for me. I would hate to do math to calm myself down, but there are many that does work for them. So, doing Legos, robotics, coding, math, Sudoku, puzzles, things like that. So believe it or not, left brain activities can help those people that really, it truly does calm them down. A balanced diet, obviously. I think I don't need to get that into it, but just removing toxins from your life, balanced diet, good water, things like that. Spending time alone is another favorite of mine. Become friends with yourself. Fall in love with yourself. I love to be by myself. I love my children and my husband more than the world, but I need my alone time. And it's very healing to get lost within your own thoughts, just to be alone, to get rid of the noise. And when I say alone time, I don't mean on your phone or watching TV. I mean going out for a walk by yourself. Just sitting and maybe laying in your bed and just kind of closing your eyes, not to nap, but just to meditate. Meditation is also a good one. There's many different ways to meditate. But spending time alone is how you do the inner work. It's how we reflect. It's how we alter our perception by thinking and reflecting on things that we did or that we didn't do. So alone time is great. Pivoting back to meditation. Meditation, I talked about this in my first book. I think there's a lot of misinterpretation or ambiguity of meditation. It doesn't mean you have to sit in the lotus position and be completely still and quiet and go to this altered state of consciousness. And that's the only way to do it. Meditation comes in many forms. Exercise, like all the things I just mentioned, actually are a form of meditation. So everything that I've just said, breathing, exercising, going out in nature, creative activities, things like that. So meditation can be anything that balances you or calms you. So it could also be a guided meditation, something that you listen to with music, and it could be automatic writing, journaling, things like that. So meditation is really just another word for grounding. And then there's a million ways to do that. Of course, positive affirmations and thoughts. One of my favorite positive affirmation that I use every single day, as many times as it pops in my head, is I am divinely supported, protected, and loved by the universe. And I just say that all the time. I say abundance flows into my life with ease and in unexpected ways. Be careful. This isn't a video on manifestation, but manifestation works the best when you have great gratitude as if it's already occurred, so that you believe it's already occurred. So I'm so grateful that I have financial abundance in ways that I never expected. So don't limit it to winning the lottery. You don't want to say, I hope I win the lottery. It's, I'm so grateful that I came into a sum of money that came to me unexpectedly. So you're not limiting yourself on how you're getting your abundance. So positive affirmations, maintaining positive thoughts, you know, not listening to the news and all the negative stuff and all the negative talk. If you're around perpetually negative people who are still very connected to the 3D and dates and all of these prophecies, just try to disconnect from it. Just don't involve yourself in the conversations. Try to just detach from anything 3D as much as possible. And then my last one is just having fun, laugh. You know, I always joke, my family's favorite thing to do, activity as a family when we want to just have fun and laugh, is to put on funny cat videos. Or funny animal videos, or just anything funny, but really fun. Our personal favorite are funny animal videos. My son likes the cat videos. So just animals doing silly things, and we will laugh like we're children. And it is so healing to laugh. So any ways that you can just laugh, watch a funny movie, whatever you do, go see a comedy show, have fun, and have fun with your life. You know, don't be so tense. Just give yourself permission to enjoy yourself in the littlest ways and in the biggest ways that you can. Okay. This is not a complete list by any means, but these are just the things that I really wanted to talk about. Now let's go into things that cost some money, but not a lot of money. Okay. And also the amount of money they cost could be determined on your taste and where you are. So another great grounding technique is taking a bath with Himalayan salt. I love Himalayan salt because I think it works best with the light body, the auric field. It's clear, it can clear auric tears, and it can be really soothing to the light body. Whereas Epsom salt is really soothing for the physical pain or the muscles and the physical body. So you can combine the two, and both are very cheap. So salt baths, if you do that 2-3 times a week for 10-15 minutes at a time, it doesn't have to be too hot. Putting Himalayan salt will really help the auric field and just clear the light body. Essential oils, if you have a diffuser or however you use essential oils, those are great to help with aromatherapy and things like that. Crystals, a huge fan. I have them all over my house, probably thousands of them. I also like Himalayan salt lamps and selenite lamps. I have them everywhere. They help really balance out the room. They help with allergens. They can assist with EMFs, block them. So big fan of those. Anything with like jewelry, I always wear crystals around my wrists. Sometimes I have pendants. So, you know, again, they can be really cheap or they can be really expensive depending on what you get and where you get them. But I like to wear something a lot of the times. And then just stones that I have. I mean, I literally everywhere. I have crystals all over. If you guys could see my desk, they're just everywhere. So crystals are great. Grounding mats, you can get them online for not that expensive. You could get them as cheap as $20 to hundreds, depending on the style you get. Grounding sheets, things like that, you plug them in. A lot of people don't like that because you're using electricity, but the grounding mats really do a great job of combating the electromagnetics from being plugged in, and they do a great job. A lot of my pet owners friends will use them for their pets. And then any EMF blockers, this one that I have that I wear almost all the time. There's different variations. I also have a harmony pendant that I'll wear that is a pendant that will block EMFs. There's a million different types you can put on your computers, your phones. Everyone knows what those are. There's different types. So that's a minimal cost, mild. Okay, so getting into more expensive, my favorite thing that I have in my house that costs me a little bit, it was an investment, but it's well worth it. I bought a biomat. So biomats have crystals in them. Mine has amethyst and black tourmaline, and they're in these tubes, and it's a mat that I have the mini size one, so it's about 4 feet by 2.5 feet. And I like that because it's mobile. I could take it anywhere I want or move it around the house. And then you can get twin size, queen size, king size for the beds, things like that. And you plug it in and they get really warm and you can adjust the temperature. I think they are phenomenal. I'm a huge fan of them. I've used them with my clients. Whenever my children don't feel well, I have them lay on it. If you have muscle aches, they work for that. So it helps with physical symptoms as well, but it also helps to balance the body, the auric field. It grounds you. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So biomats, I think their website, if you want the true company, biomat company, is biomat.com. I'm not affiliated. I'm not making any money off of this video or products, but biomats are great. But they're a little bit of an investment, anywhere from $500 to thousands, depending on how big you get. I just got mine off of eBay. I don't think it was used. But anyways, I think it was like 500. Frequency machines, there's variations of them from handheld ones in your wrists, your like watches, to technology in your phone. I have a Skio what's it called? I just had a major brain fart. It's called biofrequency Skio device or something like that. And it does biofeedback. So it's a frequency device that works very well. It's very complicated and it's very expensive. Mine is actually not mine. It's loaned from one of my very dear friends, Joyce Pellegrini, who is a wonderful woman, and she basically donated it-ish for me to work with myself and children, and then we're going to have them in all of the Aramis centers all over the world, probably multiple machines. So I only have it because of her and her generosity. So thank you, Joyce, if you're watching this. But there are others. You can get Heelys. I think there's quantum healing systems. There's a plethora of options. I also own Spooky 2s. I have 3 Spooky 2s. I'm sorry, Spooky units, one of which is the Spooky 2. So there's a plethora of options, but they're frequencies scanning devices that help with healing, balancing chakras, grounding, all of those things. I was told years and years ago, before this became popular, that frequency healing would be the healing of the future. And at some point, every home would have them, like we have a microwave. So they're going to be readily available. And I think they already are readily available, but in the sense that they are very reasonably priced. And as I say that, there are many that are reasonably priced, but so that everyone can get them who don't have a budget for it at all, that readily available. I believe there'll be humanitarian groups that actually can pass them out for free. So I see that coming. Then you can go to EES centers. They're all over the place now, and you can even bring your pets to them. So that the the energy enhancement system, that they have the frequency machines that look like televisions, and they have centers you can sit in them. Some of them overnight. So those are some things that cost money. Obviously, I didn't say everything. I'm sure people are, whatever I didn't say, please feel free to write it in the list if I didn't say something that you find really helpful for grounding, whether it's free, middle cost, or very expensive. I'd love to hear from everybody and what their favorite things are. If you found that this is helpful, but just get outside, get outside as much as possible. Away from the fluorescent lighting, the electromagnetic frequencies that trap us in our home. Go outside, go to the park, have fun with your family, laugh a little bit, have fun with your friends, breathe it out. Anything that's no longer serving my highest good, I choose to release it now. So take control, be empowered, believe that you are in control. Call upon the animal kingdom to help protect you and guide you every single day or as needed. I did a whole other video on how to call on the animal kingdom to protect you. I highly recommend you watch it if you haven't yet. So there are a plethora of things that are free. There are things that cost a little bit of money. And then, of course, there are other things that I didn't even list. that can be quite expensive. Going to a retreat, going on a trip, other things, obviously. So I really hope this is helpful. This is kind of the most extensive video to date that I've done specifically on grounding and going through my favorites and kind of explaining how they work. So I really, truly hope that this was beneficial for those of you watching. Please let me know either way. I hope this video has found you well. My next video that I'm going to get back into the 3D interference is I want to go back into disconnecting from labels and go into autism, Asperger's, dyslexia, and others that and why we need to disconnect from using those labels and really dive deep into that subject, among many others on my list that I will get to at some point. So until next time, bye everybody.